now your hosts for KLEAN Radio, Andrew and Judah.
Welcome, Judah. How you doing?
I am good.
Welcome to KLEAN Radio. Here we are. We made it.
Yeah, we did.
That was like the last second again. This the studio is filled with some sort of religious revival.
Yes, a lot of
the stadium. I'm sorry, not the studio.
Yeah,
studio is actually not very revival oriented, but
yeah, it's pretty packed out there.
40,000. Packed isn't the word for it.
Angel Stadium is sold out to a Christian revival.
Wow. Yeah. And so watch your driving if you're trying to get out of here tonight. It's gonna be crazy.
It is going to be crazy, and a lot of news. You know, sad news in addiction world.
Yeah, I know. We had another death this week. I can't believe it.
This
weekend. Another famous.
Jamie Lane.
Jamie Lane of the band
Warrant.
Famous for one song that he
couldn't
stand.
They had three huge songs.
They did?
Nah, wrong song.
I mean, what he had? Cherry Pie. What else?
Cherry Pie. They had the Down Boys.
Oh, that's right.
And
does anybody else know? I don't know.
Is he going to play it? Is our engineer going to play it?
I don't think he's that quick.
He's not that quick?
On Warrant songs, it's not.
There it is. There it is. In memory of Jamie Lane. It's a good song.
Right?
For the time.
Right?
He wrote it, 18 years old, 19 years old.
So what's the story? He was found dead in his room?
Age of 47, I believe. He
alcohol and pills?
Alcohol and pills. He was at the Comfort Inn in Woodland Hills. He'd been kicked out of every hotel in the Woodland Hills area for tearing the rooms apart. I guess he was just on a mad dash to die.
Yeah, I actually met him when he first got sober at the Viper Room, of all places. And he was doing some songs when what is now, I guess, Steel Panther. They were, what were they called before then?
You lost me. I don't.
They were like this 80s hair band thing. I think they called themselves Steel. I forget what night it was anyway. What was it called?
Metal School.
Metal School. That's it. When they were Metal School. So I used to go see Metal School all the time because why not? I'm retarded like that. Anyway, but
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked that you went to see Metal School.
Yeah, you know, a lot of my friends used to go, and a lot of my friends were in metal bands. I lived like right near the drummer of Cinderella, and
another great '80s.
Or the singer of Rat was like always there, and
who's dead, right?
Best friends with the guitarist who actually died of a heroin overdose, Dirk Frigo of Enough's Enough. And Vicky Fox, the drummer of Enough's Enough, is a good friend of mine.
But what's really sad, though, is that, like, Warren hasn't, really...
Since we're talking about hair band friends.
Yeah. But Warren hasn't done anything since, 1991, it's safe to say. It's 20 years ago. And it's really sad that the most fame this guy has right now is that he died.
Well, I know that when the brief conversation I had with him, it was just like, I was there maybe 20 minutes with him, and 4 people asked him, like, hey, sing Cherry Pie.
Right.
How much of that can you take?
I mean, and I think he got married to Bobby Brown. I think he was married to Bobby Brown for a while, that famous, the famous groupie from the 80s, from 80s fame Cherry Pie video.
Right.
It's just one of those things, it's alcohol and drugs kill.
Well, so many of my friends that died from addiction or overdose from that time era, they just didn't have anything to do. Most of them dropped out of high school to join a band.
Right.
They got really successful really fast. And that period of time wasn't really that long. It was like maybe
5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
max.
I mean, you had maybe a little bit before Guns N' Roses, so maybe like 82 would really be pushing it. Really,
because it's really just Quiet Riot then.
Right. So it's really like 83, 84, and then by 91 it was completely done.
They were done.
Yeah, so these guys had nothing to do, and you can only do so many, Hollywood Park reunion concerts before you want to...
Or Jones Beach in New York.
Right? So, a lot of these guys just don't have anything to do.
But the great, I was thinking about it, the great song by Neil Young, it's better to burn out than it is to fade.
Right.
And,
something like that.
Yeah, or something like that, something to that extent. And it's true. It's a very scary thing in that arena of, whether it's music or movies, because we don't want our heroes to get old. It's like we don't want our, actors to get, to age.
Yeah.
And you see it so much today, you know, with the actresses getting all this work and all that, you know, it's like...
Is it that we care about them or we care about ourselves?
It's we care about ourselves because we can't handle seeing people get old.
Right? It's like, oh my goodness.
Right. It's like, you know...
How old do I look now?
I mean, and it's like we celebrate. There's so much celebration in, you know, forget about, with what's her name, Amy Winehouse, but there's so much celebration in the after. Like 20 years later, we're still talking about the Doors. You know, 40 years later, we're still talking about the Doors. We're still talking, but how often do people talk about Steely Dan? You know, a band that's still together that hasn't made a song in a while.
They gave him a Grammy for no good reason.
Right, but which they do every, you know,
Was
it's
that like in 2000?
but like,
Oh, be careful with that one.
but like Tom Petty, like, you know, also it's got the same thing. But we don't want our you know, we don't want to watch them age.
Right, absolutely. Hey, let's welcome Dr. Ko in the studio. He's with us tonight as well.
The famous, infamous.
Well, thanks. It's good to be here.
You made it through the do you make it through the drive through the stadium?
Oh God, it was a maze.
Well, oh God is an appropriate statement for the the maze.
Oh God.
Right.
By the way, I think I happen to say, I'm going to be the first one to say this. I think it's pretty cool that they're having this revival outside. And, you know, whatever gets you to closer to something. Obviously, there are 40,000, 50,000 people right now in the stadium. Yeah, at least in the stadium next to us trying to find the closer relationship to God. You know, and we talk about all the time, and I know this isn't your cup of tea necessarily.
How long have they been there?
Quite a while. But at least they're trying to do something without drugs. You know, they're trying to find the spiritual path.
How do you know?
I don't know, but I'm trying to give them the benefit of the
Do they
doubt.
have beer sales? They might have beer sales.
I don't
know.
believe they have beer sales.
Do they? I don't know.
It would probably be...
Jesus and beer don't mix?
No, they probably don't. Not for the night. And but I think it's a great thing, you know. Whether you agree with it or not, at least they're trying to do something healthy.
Possibly.
Right. Well, there's certainly a healthy aspect to it.
Right. You know, I mean...
I always question the motivation. And I mean, and I don't know this guy who's on tonight, so I'm not going to comment on him. He might be a great guy. I don't know. I've never even heard of him. All these other people have.
He's got quite the shirt.
He's got a huge following.
Yeah.
He must be doing something right.
Yeah.
But, you know, you go through the list, you know...
Jim Baker, Jimmy Swaggart,
Jimmy
right.
Swaggart. I mean, like one after another, they all have these weird sexual predilections that they're all uptight. They all get caught in a scandal.
Right.
You know, who was the really
Haggard.
bad one? Who was the
the meth guy.
The meth and
Yeah,
He's
Haggard.
like going on about
Earl Haggard or something like
yeah,
that.
and they all say they don't do drugs and.
Oftentimes,
And they're all
sex,
and sex
money.
addicts. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you think about it like this, any religion that doesn't want, whether it's priesthood that says you can't be married.
Well, I like the point that Dr. Ko just made here, which was money is the real addiction. A lot of these guys are to fame and money.
What becomes that? That's a good question too. It's like, we
where does it start?
Right, we
Maybe
talk
it
about in
starts somewhere
AA,
else.
one of the things is money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. When you first start preaching, I can't imagine that, the gold watch is what you want in the end, but it seems like a lot of them do get caught up in this. We're up at the Crystal Cathedrals right next to us.
Out of business.
And it's out of business. I mean,
Right.
they want to. It's like $50 million. They're in the hole. They could have probably done the same thing in the warehouse that we were driving by that does the storage.
Right.
And saved a few bucks.
You can't have public storage in the Crystal Cathedral, though, because everybody could see which unit to rob. Anyway, we probably just pissed off half of Orange County.
No, I think but you know what? I don't think I think that's actually just a good question. We're not knocking anything. We're not knocking people's religions. We're not knocking any of that stuff. We're just, it's a curious question.
Right.
I mean, I think. But I also think it's great. I think it's great. Whatever you find your way to God.
Yeah, we're talking in the studio, and for some reason there's a monitor up top where they're gutting fish. It's really a little disturbing, but whatever.
It's Iron Chef. It's Iron Chef America.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So, Dr. Ko, how goes it?
Very good. Just had a nice swim, and I'm all relaxed and ready for the show.
Yeah, you did laps. How many laps did you do?
I swim a mile. It's about 70, 75.
Yeah, you got to
How's
speak
that?
into the mic.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you now.
I'm about to eat it. I'm just not a loud talker.
You got to talk loud.
Yeah, and this is our first
radio.
night streaming, by the way.
Oh,
So
really?
people could watch us live.
How cool is that?
Yeah, and they can find us live at KLEANradio.com.
Well, it was cool until about 10 seconds ago when we kind of flubbed it. But
Yeah.
We'll have those moments.
yeah, we'll have those moments.
And
many more to come.
You could hear us live at KLEANradio.com, and you can find us on Facebook.
Facebook, and you can reach us here at the studio
At 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. One more time, that's 877-8830-830. If you have any comments or opinions on Warrant, Dead Rockers,
or questions about addiction and recovery.
oh, there we go. There's a we'll go out with with one of Warren's hits.
Right? Talk to you soon. We're on KLEAN Radio.
Addiction is any behavior you cannot stop that results in destructive consequences. Are you struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol? Are you ready to take control of your life? The treatment advisors at KLEAN Treatment Center are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. You can also check us out at cleantreatmentcenter.com. That's clean with a K. The sooner you reach out for help, the sooner your new life begins.
Once again, the Judah dance. Well, you know, I can't believe we don't have a crowd yet watching.
Oh, they're outside, 40,000 strong.
We could have you tour.
They're actually here tonight.
We'll have you tour malls of America in like a glass enclosed booth doing the Judah dance.
Doing the Judah dance.
Right. Yeah, like the Pope Mobile, but with Judah in it.
The Crystal Palace.
Yeah, right.
I'll be appearing
On wheels.
I'll be appearing at the Crystal Cathedral. You can
Oh, cathedral, right.
Andrew actually wants to buy the building.
I do. It's $50 million. I figure
50.
This is 50,
50, yeah.
50.
Yeah.
This is my idea. We turn it into a gay marriage church. So we get every gay person in America to donate $10-15, and when California legalizes gay marriage, then the Crystal Cathedral becomes like a gay marriage church.
And Andrew will be.
How ironic would that be?
Yeah, and Andrew will be doing the weddings.
That's right. Because
That's right.
I'm a licensed
You're
minister.
already- you're already licensed,
I'm
yeah.
ordained. I'm ordained. Yeah.
So one of the topics though that we love to talk about on this show, you know, Andrew and I, we just came from a barbecue.
Right, now that we're never gonna be able to do radio again.
I know because we have totally pissed off
everybody.
Everybody
in
except
15 minutes.
except people in West Hollywood.
Right.
And but you know, one of the things.
Hopefully we'll be able to leave tonight.
Yeah, right.
That's right. That's right. Hopefully they're not listening inside.
Right.
And you know, it's funny. That's another funny thing. You know, tolerance.
Yeah, right.
Except
And
when I don't
humor.
like your opinion.
Right.
But you know, one of the things we talk about a lot is having fun in sobriety. And people that are tuning in the show, we are a show about life, about sobriety, getting sober, life after sobriety. And I had an interesting conversation with somebody today. I was talking with a friend of mine, and we were talking about Dwight Gooden. And one of the things that always, I don't know if you know who that is, but he was a former
Pitcher for the Yankees.
for the Mets. You know, was part of the Mets 1986 World Championship team that was famous for their baseball playing as much as they were their drugs.
Right.
I mean, literally a whole team high on cocaine.
But him and Darryl Strawberry.
But him and Darryl Strawberry
were the cocaine kings
just
of the 80s.
right of the
baseball.
80s, right. And he got a second chance with the Yankees, and in 1996 he won the World Series with the Yankees. He also pitched a no-hitter that year.
Right.
One of the things I was always curious about is if you're sober, I'm not sure if he was sober at the time, even though he might have said he was, but when you're sober and you have one of those moments, it's, you know, we talk about this also, like with a musician, with a band, and it's like, well, we ask a lot of comics what it's like to get on stage afterwards.
Right.
I mean, that must be one of the hardest things in the world, to get on stage sober. After you've been drinking, you've been drinking in front of 50,000. Now you're sober in front of 50,000. Like, how is it?
Well, Ant last week was saying he actually looked at people for the first time.
Right, and it's like been nerve-wracking.
You
It's been a
know.
nerve-wracking, and it's been a nerve-wracking experience. But
Yeah, because their anxiety.
yeah,
They were drinking to manage their anxiety.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be terrifying.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're talking about addiction on the show, and I think one of the biggest questions now is because we do see so many different opinions of what addiction is. What is your opinion of addiction? And what is your definition of addiction?
Okay. Addiction is a behavioral syndrome where the individual is repetitively and compulsively self-administering a substance in spite of the consequences. when they know that it's hurting them, whether it's physically, emotionally, their social relationships, their family, but they keep on doing it.
Okay, so Bill Clinton. I mean, let's be like somebody like Bill Clinton. Would he be considered a sex addict?
You know, right now you're talking about process addiction.
Right.
Sex, gambling, shopping, gaming, those kind of things. They're not officially considered addictions.
Why not?
By the DSM, which is a Diagnostic and Statistical Manual.
So one second. So why are they not considered addiction?
Well,
By the medical field.
Oh, okay.
They will probably be added with the new edition coming out, I think, in 2013.
So 2013, does Bill Clinton get labeled a sex addict?
A little late, right?
Well, yeah, a few years too late.
Yeah, it's probably kind of over for him at this point.
But you said because of the compulsive part. Because that, you know.
Well, I mean, I don't know anything about Bill Clinton's sexual behavior other than
That's a relief.
I mean, you know, if you make assumptions, but yeah.
But one of the things, I mean, I know growing up, you know, you'd hear your mother tell you about alcoholics, right? They were the bums on Skid Row. You know, you'd get these pictures. I mean, a lot of people have these pictures in their head of what an alcoholic is, thinking not anymore as much, but in the past it was, it's the Skid Row bum. It's the guy.
Now it's the rock and roll.
Right
star.
now it's the rock. Right, but now
and it's the executive.
Right.
I mean,
but you didn't know that when you were younger. It's like that movie that was made, The Days of Wine and Roses. I think that's why it was so groundbreaking, was because it showed you that mom and pa have alcoholism too. You know, but. So no, the reason I'm asking is because you said, you know, addiction also defines what it affects.
Right. And that's the consequences,
right.
The bad consequences.
So it's not always necessarily how much or how often as much as it is.
Exactly. How it impacts your life. You know, if it impacts your functioning in some way or another, then we consider it a disorder. Let's talk a little bit about the neuroscience.
Okay.
You know, everybody knows about dopamine. It's the feel-good neurotransmitter, right? And
it's got a good first part of the name, dope.
That's why.
Right.
That's where the rest of it came from.
So, all these things hijack the dopamine system in the brain.
Right.
So, these are increasing dopamine. People feel good. You know, but it's an unnatural way of regulating dopamine. And the other way to look at it is how that people are doing these things to somehow improve their self-esteem or how they feel about themselves. So, you know, they feel bad, they use a substance, they go shopping, you know, they watch TV, whatever. You know, it's a matter of being able to internally regulate your self-esteem without these external inputs that get you in trouble.
Do you think that's a reason why so many people have a reason staying sober, is because when they get sober, they can't handle having to regulate?
Well, they don't know how. They feel bad.
And it scares them to death.
Yeah, they never learned how. And, you know, you can usually trace this to some aspect of their development, their early development, where they didn't get that from their parents in the environment that they were growing up in.
Somebody was asking me another question, because you are the doctor at KLEAN, and they were they were asking me today about when you detox. A lot of places detox with narcotics, with, you know, what's the whole story on that? Like with detoxing.
Detoxing from what?
From, you know, drugs or alcohol. With, you know, not just narcotics. There's like different types, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between certain.
Well, there's different detox protocols.
Well, it depends
depending
on
what
the
you're addicted
substance.
to.
Right.
I mean, like if it's a stimulant, methamphetamine or cocaine, the detox is really nothing. You stop it. What happens, though, is they really get dysphoric or depressed because they're no longer driving dopamine that hard. And also, I think that people who use stimulants, by and large, have more of a depressive kind of character or illness.
And what are stimulants considered?
Methamphetamine, cocaine.
That's funny, because I wouldn't have thought meth is like I wouldn't.
It's speed. It's classic
Oh.
speed.
I know, because I guess I just associate anything you shoot with like heroin.
Right?
Well,
But they're the total opposite.
No, heroin is a narcotic.
Right, heroin and meth are
But
total opposites.
heroin's actually an opiate.
Opiates are. Yeah.
And narcotic is kind of a press term for dangerous
For
drug.
dangerous drug, yeah. But it's a cop turn.
It's a cop term,
right?
right.
I'm a narcotics officer.
Right. Whereas depressants, heroin, pain pills, and alcohol are generally people who are more anxious get addicted to those.
And what about steroids? Because that's a huge thing too. And we were talking about that before in the car ride.
We're talking about anabolic steroids.
Anabolic steroids. I mean, what is is it more mentally addictive or is it physically addictive?
I think it's physically addictive. I mean, you feel better, and also these people, are workout addicts in a way, and they want to see big muscles and and be able to lift more, push
They have
more.
body image issues.
Right.
Right. I mean, like you can see those guys; they never think they look good, even if they're
Right.
Doesn't matter how much.
But they all have
work
to
out.
run without their shirts on the street. I find it very
It's
frustrating.
a weird paradoxical situation.
I find it very frustrating.
Yeah. Well,
But I think it all gets back to regulating self-esteem in a healthy fashion, and these people have trouble with that.
But don't you think most people? I mean, don't most people have trouble with self-esteem?
Well, it's the bottom line, yeah. In a lot of ways, it is, yeah.
I mean, so what separates the addict from feeling that that it's the only way is through drugs? That's I mean, most people could play sports. Some people play sports. So everybody finds a different avenue. What is it about the addictive mind that gets them that heroin is what's going to treat my esteem, as opposed to athletics?
Oh, I don't think they even make that connection. You're asking a good question. It's rather complicated in terms of the psychological structure is not there that regulates self-esteem. So when you strip away the substance, when you detox them and get them clean, they're naked, and they don't know how to feel good in a healthy way. And so you worry about other addictions, say eating or a lot of other behaviors can come in to take the place, or they get into relationships, but you see a lot of unhealthy stuff happening, and what they're really doing is in some way trying to regulate their self-esteem again. They want to feel good about themselves.
I've never seen someone regulate their self-esteem with a relationship.
Right. Well,
Well, depends.
it's usually trouble.
Yeah, right. It's usually trouble.
Yeah. I mean, particularly right after you get sober.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why they say don't get in a relationship when
For
you
the
get
first
sober.
year.
Because they're looking for that other person to make them feel good.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, if you want to take it back to
Or to validate them. We see that
that-
so much, especially.
but
you
that's
know,
self-esteem. Hey,
yeah.
I'm a good person. I feel
Right.
good.
I'm still attractive. I'm
Yeah.
still wanted.
Yeah.
People need me.
How come you don't feel that?
Because I'm married.
That is true, and you just had your
True.
3-year anniversary. So
I
happy,
did. Yeah,
happy
this
3
past
years.
week. Yeah, I beat the over/under.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost. A lot of people lost a lot of money on
Probably
that
a
one.
lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are like the Shania Twain song.
Yeah. Nobody thought we'd make it 3
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't bet.
And the week before our anniversary, trust me, it was touch or go. So there was a lot of people. It was like it was like
Now-
it was that final basket that got thrown up from half court and just made it in.
Now what's the over/under on
So
7?
are you still collecting?
Yeah, I'm still collecting.
What's the over/under on 7 years?
Oh, now we got to reset it.
Yeah, well, you just passed the mark, of
That's
course.
true. I guess right. We take some new odds.
5
7
years. 5 years.
Yeah,
Let's go 5 years.
7's rough.
Let's go 5 years.
5 years.
Okay.
Well, my mom listens to the show, so I got to say it's 100%. I'm gonna make it.
Your mom, I know she listens to the show, but I in no way think she believes it's going to be 100%.
No, my mom's convinced that my third wife is the one. So
Your mom is living in a lot of denial, and I've met your mom, but that denial runs deep.
I don't know. You never know.
So it's yeah, I don't know. But 3 years in L.A., that's like
You-
21 years.
You still just have a mythical girlfriend, so I mean,
Yes,
you
I
know,
do. I have a
right.
mythical girlfriend,
Right.
and she lives in mythical
Mythical.
mythical world. And we watched 16 Candles last night together. How
Really?
romantic, yes. Have you ever seen this movie, Doc? I mean, I've seen it a lot of times.
How can you watch it after blowing for that long?
After what?
Blowing her up for that long.
She could. That sounded really bad, but
I
she could. You know, she could. If it's a blow up doll, she could sit there forever.
Right?
And I have
You
the.
could have watched 16 Candles 16 times.
I have the electric thing now.
Oh,
know,
you
no
have the
longer do you have to.
automatic- you
Right.
don't-
No longer do you have to.
You don't have to manually
yeah.
blow. You have a pump.
I mean, you know, I got to tell you, I don't know if I would have gotten sober because part of my story was that I used to have to sleep on a deflated air mattress because I had the air mattress that you still had to like go into, you know, that it would take you like a year and a half to blow up. But had I had one of these electric things that are like, you know,
Right.
I don't know, I might not have hit bottom.
Or your bottom might not hit the floor.
And that's a great question. And
That's how I heard it.
That's a great that's a great question. We're going to get to that when we come back. But what is a bottom? Because I was at a meeting. I was with a bunch of people the other day, and we're talking about bottoms in life. You know,
not in the gay world.
No. Well, where is your mind?
I don't know.
And we got to get him to this Christian evangelical thing. He needs a little God.
Needs to believe.
He
huh?
needs to believe.
I believe in everything.
Yeah, no, you don't. You believe in nothing. And we have to but
not
we,
true.
you know, it's not true. Andrew believes in the spirits. And
Andrew has a lot of integrity.
Yeah, I believe
Andrew,
I believe-
Andrew's, you know, it's Andrew is probably the most, and I'm not saying this because we're friends. Andrew's.
Who said we were friends?
Okay, I'm not saying this because Andrew and I are good acquaintances, but he's got more integrity than he gives, definition to the word integrity, and I'm not gonna. That's the God's honest truth.
Yeah. So that he has a
That's
belief.
spiritual.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
spiritual.
that's,
he has
you
a
know-
Well,
belief
no, that's
system.
morals.
That's morals, but that's a whole other subject for a different political talk show. But but
Really?
one of the things I think is important to talk about is what is a bottom, and when it just doesn't sound good when you're when you're living life and you hit that point. What is it spiritual? Is it financial?
Can't you figure out a way to rephrase
No,
that?
because
It's consequences.
it's consequences. But
Yeah.
the reason no, you see, because some people, but there's two
Sure
types.
is.
But there's two types of consequences, Doc. This is if you're 45, you might have different consequences than if you're 21.
Of course.
So a lot of people consider a bottom, a spiritual bottom, and a financial bottom. They're two different types of bottoms. And a lot of times people that are getting sober,
And their physical bodies.
and they're physical bottoms, but a lot of times when you're 45, you have more of a chance.
This would have to be the night we're streaming live
yeah,
too.
when we're talking about bottoms.
Yeah, and I just can't keep it together.
Yeah, you can. because I don't know where your mind goes.
No, just the way you say it. It's
A bottom,
I
okay.
think you should frame
A spiritual, not a bottom. What's another word for a bottom? Please, somebody call 877-888-877-8830.
Somebody get Jude off the hook.
830,
Help us
830,
out.
877-830, If you have a different word for when your life falls apart, not bottom,
Right.
please call us up with a better
It's called
word.
spiritual crisis.
A spirit. Well, I don't want to use the word spirit. That's what I'm saying. When you hit crisis.
Yeah,
And we're going to use that word right now.
Okay.
When we talk
Or
about
when
this
your
all the
life
time.
bottoms out.
When
What's
you're-
our number, real quick?
The
We're
number
going
here
out
is
on a break.
877-830-830. You're listening to KLEAN Radio. Please call us up and tell us.
And we have our guest coming in.
Yes, Howie Walfish,
Great comedian.
great comedian, and he does dinner dance theater in Mateo's restaurant. And he was sharing with me about all the frat women. And we're going out with Bad Company's Shooting Star.
Right?
About a rock star that died with a bottle of whiskey and sleeping tablets by his head.
How ironic.
How cliche.
Yes.
Suspect a loved one is abusing drugs? Call Clean Treatment Center at 888-601-6040 for a free drug test and consultation. A treatment advisor is available to help you administer the test and answer any questions you may have regarding treatment and more. We are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040 or find us online at cleantreatmentcenter.com for your free drug test and the start of a promising future.
Do you or someone you know need help overcoming addictive disorders, call us now at 8778-830-830 or log on to Klean with a K, KLEANradio.com.
KLEAN Radio on Angels Radio AM 830 is presented by KLEAN Residential Treatment Center, a dynamic and professional addiction treatment facility.
Now it's back to Andrew and Judah.
Well, my name is Andrew, and I'm here with the Judah.
For the Block Boy?
Yeah, he's doing his Judah dance again.
How could he not a Scarface?
I think we're going to have to do a new highlight clip because there's been some new moves.
There is some new movement, especially when
Right?
Dr. Ko is to my right. I like to
Right.
grab his hand during the dance. And let's say hello to his daughter, his beautiful daughter who's listening to the show tonight.
Oh, Leslie's listening?
Yeah, Leslie is listening.
That's great. Hello, Leslie.
Let's give a shout out.
Hi, Leslie.
There you go.
Okay, that was a little too much.
Yeah.
Right?
Let us give the shout outs. Now we sound like,
Right.
Usually I don't speak that loud.
you don't, but
It's
he's
good. I like it.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm one of these people, and I gotta be honest. Like, I hate when people show me pictures of people I don't know, and like they're showing me like their daughters, they're showing me or vacation spots they've been to, and I'm like, unless I know somebody in the picture or unless I've been there,
You're just a resentful.
I am extremely.
Like-
But Doc, he's got some great pictures of his Doc, and he's very proud of his daughter.
Don't even. This could
This
go bad very
conversation
quickly.
could go nowhere.
His
Let's get off
daughter
the
is not of
subject.
age.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I just know Judah. I know where you're going, and it's gonna come out wrong.
anyways,
and
let's
then
get back
you're-
to bottoms.
And
And
let's introduce our guest.
yes, let's introduce our
Right.
guest, comedian extraordinaire Howie Walfish,
That is correct.
who I thought your name was. You got to talk more into the mic.
Okay,
go.
good to be here.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks
Just
for
to
coming
correct
in.
one thing real quick, you had mentioned, Judah, that I do the dinner dancing theater. That's not what it is.
Mystery
It's Murder Mystery
Murder
Dinner
Mi-
Theater.
Oh.
Keith and Margot's Murder Mystery Dinner Theater. I play the detective. I've done it for quite some time. There's no dancing involved.
But by the women there is. By the
The
drunk women.
the drunk women do
Yeah.
tend to get up and dance.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
That's
an
all
issue.
Judah was looking at.
That's-
The
Yeah.
detective, he had no interest
Yeah.
I had mentioned to him earlier that the Sex and the City and the Desperate Housewives show and all the Housewives of shows have given, and I've seen this firsthand for years now, they've given women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s license to get just full-bore frat boy drunk out in public, and I get to witness it
And
firsthand.
you're loving it.
Yeah, I guess
in.
a lot of.
We could get people into treatment just from the audience.
Oh yeah, you definitely could.
And the number here, by the way, for everybody listening, is 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. We were talking about before the break about what is a crisis. And I think everybody's crisis before they get sober is different. You know, if you're 45 and you're in crisis, it could be because you've lost a house, you've lost your car, you've lost your family. But if you're 21 and you're in crisis, usually it's more of a major spiritual, where you're pretty much dead inside. Because you haven't lost the family, or you might have lost your parents, but you haven't lost the house, you haven't lost the kids. So how do you get sober when you're 21?
Well, that's a tough question.
I would think that
I did it.
I did it too. I got sober.
No,
when
but
I
I
was
mean
so-
just for a year.
No.
I'll tell you what motivated me if you want me to.
It doesn't count since it was only a year.
Well,
I'm joking.
no, but prior to that,
we
I
don't
had been
charge, so you can tell us.
I had been partying since 15 years on. Smoking pot, drinking, partying away, eating acid, whatever.
Good times.
Good times. And at 21 or 22, it dawned on me that I'd never had sex without being just totally wasted. And that really bothered me. And while I worked in a bar on the Sunset Strip, I decided that I'm not going to get high or drink or anything for 1 year so that I could experience what it is to have sex without all that.
Is
And
that
it
because it would take a year for you to be able to have sex?
And it
or-
ended up that you were celibate for a year.
No. No.
You just couldn't get lucky that year.
No, I was working in a bar on the Sunset Strip.
He's
So
been
I
sober
was,
What year?
ever since.
What year?
I don't want to mention the year.
Okay.
It's
Oh.
top secret. It's
Right,
in the
because
vault.
he added 21, then you
Right.
worked out his age.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, it's
Right.
got to
Oh,
be.
so you were
Judas
working
Judas
on
like a spy.
Right,
I am.
he's been working on your age since we got in the car.
It's
Right.
of no relevance. All that
Right.
matters is your youthful demeanor.
You do look very young.
Yes, I
Not a
put-
day over 31.
There you go.
And,
Special place in heaven for Judah.
So you had hit some sort of crisis. But I got sober when I was 22. I was spiritually dead.
Really?
I was spiritually, I was out of whack. And
what does that mean? Tell us.
That means that I was 22 years old. I I mean, I remember Peter Gabriel had a great line in one of his songs. It's "Watch My Empty Silhouette." I remember walking down the street with these 2 laundry bags, and they were the heaviest bag. I felt I could see myself from the outside walking around, like looking at myself, like what is,
So what I'm seeing or hearing is it sounds like an identity crisis. You didn't know who you were,
right,
where you were going,
what I was, anything, right. But it had nothing to do,
and really no sense of self.
Absolutely none. Yeah. And they talk about low self-esteem. There was it wasn't even low,
right?
And so, but
you were shattered,
right? I was shattered, but so for me, I never had the car to lose, never had the things to lose. But when you're 45, so that was my crisis. Mm-hmm. So that's a different crisis if you're 45 and you've just lost stuff.
Well, my crisis that set me off, it's coming up on 5 years without smoking pot or drinking alcohol, which were basically my substances of choice, was the loss of money. It was blowing lots of money.
Right.
And it just devastated me, and I was incredibly depressed, and so I was drinking and smoking to escape. But the funny thing about pot is it heightens your awareness.
Yeah, you were using 2 things that don't really counteract well together.
No, well, they gave me a good night's sleep sometimes, but that pot, man, the anxiety that started to, sift in from recognizing and becoming more hyper aware of what I'd done, the decisions I'd made.
It's paranoia as well.
Paranoia and wretched anxiety. And then to ease the anxiety, I'd have a couple of big snifters of vodka with Snapple Summer Peach. Very refreshing libation. A very refreshing libation. And then I'd feel like an idiot because I was a grown man alone in this room in Van Nuys contending with, challenges of life by just being like a 16-year-old in his parents' basement. Same thing. And so then I'd take an Ambien to forget it all, get through the night, and wake up the next day and say it's not going to happen again.
See, now I'm confused because libation aged you, but Ambien made you younger. So
right, yeah.
No, libation.
He does this on purpose. That's why he's a detective in the dinner and dance theater.
He's throwing off the criminals.
One of my very close friends is a major player in the spirits and wine industry, and he loves to use no, not Bartles. He loves to use the term libation. That's where I got that from. But this went on a 4-month cycle of every morning I'd wake up and said, I'm not smoking pot tonight.
We got some calls lining up.
We got calls.
Yeah, we're going to take call number 2. It's Brian from Mission Viejo who has a comment about Judah. Brian, you're on the air, KLEAN Radio.
Hi, pleasure to speak with you folks.
I hope I don't
and
know
it
your
wasn't
money.
Actually. I'm sorry.
No,
I was just actually leaving a meeting too when I found your station.
Oh, wow,
cool.
So
that's great.
That was really cool to hear your station. And I'm a little nervous, so excuse me, please. But,
so we're always nervous.
Judah's terribly nervous.
Yeah. And terribly shy.
Right. And he has a reason to be nervous.
So the comment that grabbed me was, or the discussion that grabbed me was about bottom or crisis or whatever you want to call it. And the way that I understand addiction or drinking, alcoholism, et cetera, is continuing to take those actions despite of negative consequences.
That's right.
So I don't know if consequences is necessarily my bottom, and those consequences can keep getting worse and keep getting worse and keep getting worse. So I guess, all of those could be considered bottoms, but what really defines my ultimate bottom is when I start taking some contrary action as a result of, that, whatever you want to call it, being beaten to a state of reasonableness or having, that spiritual awakening or a moment of clarity or whatever it is. But what really defines that is when I start to take those negative actions, then I can look back and say, that was my bottom.
I think that's true. And a lot of the discussion in the addiction community lately has been about the term raising the bottom. How do you not getting to the point? It's so fantastic.
Is that getting out of the street?
Yeah, you're upset with me. You're cracking up that I'm saying bottom. Now you're talking about raising the bottom.
Is raising the bottom getting out of the street onto the curb?
And Brian's nervous. He's not on camera. He's in a car. Anyway,
which community was that?
Yeah. No, yeah, right. This is Andrew, unfortunately. No, but the point is that they do. They've been talking about raising the bottom. How do you raise the level?
Well, talks about that in the...
Right, you get people to a point of crisis quicker so the damage isn't as bad and you get people into treatment.
I have something to add about that if you have another minute.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a daughter, unfortunately, who has kind of taken on some of our traits, hereditary, whatever they may be. And she is pretty young, and we've put her in a rehab, and she's been in there for a year. And
oh, wow.
Just the other day, and what, at that age, she's 15, at that age, to see a bottom or to, be anything except invincible, at that age, it's kind of tough to do. So to have them see a bottom is very difficult.
That's right.
And that's why I was talking about it. It's like, because I got sober when I was 22.
Well, let's hear what Dr. Coe has to say. Dr. Coe?
Oh, we haven't got to the question yet.
Well, 15 years old, getting
feels invincible.
During adolescence, people do feel like nothing's ever going to go wrong, and they're going to live forever, and they can't get hurt, and
But is it possible for a 15-year-old to recognize that they're actually hitting a bottom or a low in their lives, and that there's something better? How do you convince them that that's not just normal?
I think with teenagers, fortunately, they're minors, and you can contain them by putting them in a rehab. You've done the right thing. If they don't stop on their own, then you have to stop them.
But I think what Andrew's asking is, while they're there for the year, how do you convince them that it just wasn't a phase?
Right. How do you let them know that there's something different?
And this is the interesting thing that I found is that I truly abide by the 12 steps and 12 traditions of the program that I belong to, and of course that they're not affiliated with any outside centers, rehabs, etc. There's no affiliation whatsoever. So how do you incorporate those principles into a rehab?
Right.
And these people have managed to do that in a different form of the same steps, practicing the same principles, and that's the miracle that I've seen with my daughter. Is that they have come about a way where they were able to raise the bottom, and that is truly exactly when you brought that up, it really hit me between the eyes, because they have managed to do that for my daughter to this point.
Yeah,
will she stay sober going forward? Your guess is as good as mine, but I do know today that she's sober, and she's at a meeting tonight. And
that's great.
Yeah,
it's been a miracle. I mean, she recited the third step prayer to me. If that means anything to anybody else, to get to that point is just crazy, and it was a truly night and day situation for us. So thanks for taking my call.
Oh, you got it, Brian, and
you, Brian.
Hope you call in again and
keep listening.
Keep listening.
Can I say one thing? At that age,
awesome.
Hold on, Brian. One of our guests wants to say.
At that age, you got to get her convinced that it's the cool, hip thing to do to be sober. That's got to be her state of mind. That it's a sucker's game to be getting high and to be drinking.
And I think her peers, initially there was a period of rebellion, but then when she saw other people that had that same period of rebellion get over it and be able to stay sober and live life and still be cool amongst that group of peers, that was truly powerful. And I do want to tell you that I'm going to tell all my friends about this program.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much. We're on every Sunday night. You can find us at Facebook, by the way, KLEAN Radio.
Yeah, KLEAN Radio with a K, and every Sunday night from 8 to 10.
One of the things, Brian, thank you very much for your phone call. And one of the things that we're going to talk about after the break is having fun in sobriety. And it's really cool because a couple times, a week, I go hang out to KLEAN, and, there are a lot. But, the other night we went bowling. And
you went bowling.
I went bowling I went bowling with some of the clients, and I was joking during the game. I said we should have Dr. Coe here because this would be the best form of evaluating people's while they're bowling, because you have all these different personalities.
Yeah, but that's for coordination, not for mental health.
But there's the one guy that was teaching everybody how to bowl.
Yeah.
And it was just pretty cool, but it was also amazing having fun.
Who was teaching everybody how to bowl?
I can't say release
clients.
It was one of our clients, and that's what I'm saying.
We had a bowling client.
We had a bowl. Yeah, you could sort of, and it's also because that was shown to me when I got young and I was sober. It was you have fun, and I was shown how to have fun.
And bowling, because bowling you normally associate with drinking beer.
That's exactly right.
I once threw 7 strikes in a row, very drunk bowling.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he thought.
Right. It was on the other lane.
Right. It was the guy in the other lane. His eyes.
But you could still feel it when you go to bowling alleys. Even to this day, you could still feel. They don't allow smoking anymore, but you could almost still smell it.
Well, talk about Jamie from Warren. He talked about on Celebrity Fit Club or whatever the show was that he first discovered that he had a problem with alcohol, and they started talking about it. He mentioned that the place that he used to go to get drunk was the bowling alley, the local bowling alley in his small town.
Right.
They have the bar there, and that's why those places always used to smell like smoking.
Right, and it's you could still.
Horrible,
I'm from Brooklyn, and you had it, and I remember as a kid, I just remember this vividly: the little bar in the bowling alley. and the smell of smoke.
Right, sweaty shoes and smoke and alcohol.
And there is fun, and there is an extreme amount of fun in sobriety. And one of the things, I hate talking about this because I sound like an infomercial, but one of the things that we do at Clean is whether it's going to baseball games, whether it's doing stuff, showing people how to live sober, not just saying, hey, when you get out of rehab, this is how you live.
Right.
We got to show people. Sometimes hand in hand, we got to say, this is how we do it. To sound like one of those songs from the 90s by the New Kids on the Block.
This is how we
do it. Yeah. And
Wow.
Andrew, when we come back, we'll talk more about raising the bottom in our treatment center in West Hollywood.
If you got any questions for me,
we got to take a break.
Let me know.
Oh.
We got 10 minutes. You got to talk.
Yeah, you're listening to Clean Radio.
Live streaming radio.
That's Clean with a K, and the number here is
877-830-830.
That's 877-830-830. Give us a call if you're just tuning in. You're not listening to an Angel game.
How about another question for Dr. Coe?
Howie, you have any questions for Dr. Coe? You look very comfortable.
I do have a question. Somebody told me recently that if a lot of addicts, when they're getting free of whatever they're addicted to, they really do require some kind of medication, to help ease the anxiety, and usually that's Xanax. That's been my understanding from people I've talked to, my ex-girlfriend. But someone told me that if you cease Xanax suddenly after you've been utilizing it for a given period of time, whether it's just been 1 milligram, 2 milligrams a day, whatever, you'll go into seizures. Is that true?
Oh, there is a risk. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Again, that's a great question because there are so many myths.
It's not just Xanax; it's any benzodiazepine.
Right.
So Valium, Xanax.
That you could actually die.
Klonopin.
That you could die.
Yeah, you can die. Well, you can die, but more like you're just gonna have a seizure. But you can die from having a seizure.
You could die from having a seizure.
You can have brain damage, right?
Well, it's possible. Unlikely. I mean, usually you just have a seizure and you get beat up, bite your tongue, something like that. But yes, those drugs. If they're taken in sufficient quantities over a long enough period of time and you stop it suddenly, you will have a withdrawal seizure.
And what about the, I know a lot of comics, they're on various meds for the antidepressants and whatever, Wellbutrin, the Prozac, the other one, if they go months, to check it out and then they stop suddenly, will they just spend like a month or two crying?
It's a very general question.
The questions were they crying the month before they stopped too? I mean,
if it was working for them,
it is a very good question, and I could state from my own personal experience, getting off a certain antidepressant is not easy. It is if you do not do it under a doctor's care. It could be a wild ride.
Well, I think it's all about the doctor's care, honestly.
Right.
I mean, I'm been on antidepressants and stuff.
No, I'm saying if you stop taking them without doctor's care.
Oh, and I've stopped, but I'm saying I'm stopped with no side effects whatsoever. So,
no crashing, no.
Yeah.
He put on 100 pounds.
If I didn't crash.
But you didn't crash.
Yeah, it depends on the individual and how the medications are handled. So Andrew's right. You're going to do best under a doctor's supervision.
Right.
I said
by
that.
I mean a psychiatrist.
A psychiatrist.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's an important question. I think it's also more of an important question because today there is so much abuse with Vicodin. I mean, people really do believe that these drugs have no consequence. We were talking about it on the ride. We passed, what is it, the hemp thing coming up? HempCon. And it's
a big marijuana convention. I can't believe we're actually talking about it. We're kind of promoting it.
No.
I actually went last year just to check it out.
It takes like an hour on the food line.
It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever been to. It's every schizophrenic, paranoid pot smoker in LA with a booth, and they're all like magical thinker people.
Yeah. Magical thinker people.
They're like all sitting there. They've got like coasters that if you put your pot on the coaster an hour before you smoke it, it will help bring out extra spirits and thoughts, and they're selling this stuff. And this other guy had like the pot bong bowl or something, and you do a bong load of pot, and then you move your card. And he was convinced he was going to get on ESPN with his sports show of pot.
And you hear a lot of Grateful Dead in the background.
It's just unbelievably crazy.
The other thing that's really sad about those people,
it was very disturbed.
Those people.
Those people.
Those pot people that are at the HempCon. what pot means to them, its level of importance in
It's
their
everything.
life.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It is astonishing.
Well, I've
that
always
they're
said
grown
that.
adults,
Yeah.
and that they still hold it to that level of import.
Andrew knows my resentment for potheads, particularly the ones that have bongs that they name. You know, and everybody knows those. You know, meet my bong.
It's okay when you're 16.
Meet my bong Lucy.
Yeah.
And you know, but it is life to them. Potheads, they will defend its
Organic,
or
natural
its
nature.
okayness.
Listen,
I love Patrick, our video guy's silence every time I have a resentment against potheads.
I think I owe full disclosure, though.
Yes.
I, for years, dispersed marijuana to the masses. And I saw up close the important. I didn't smoke it while I was dispersing it. I could not smoke it. It just drove me madly anxiety-ridden. But what I saw was that for a lot of people, it made them very, very happy. For whatever reason, it was a medicine, quote unquote, that worked for them. Then for other people that would come to see me, I was like, dude, you gotta take up some kind of a hobby, man. You know, you gotta take a look at the level of importance this stuff holds for you, and that's where it was kind of sad to me.
I mean, there is a certain.
I think it's a dangerous drug.
You think it's a dangerous drug?
Well, it's gotten,
Extremely.
it's
I really
gotten
do.
much more
For
dangerous.
adults or kids?
Anybody.
Everybody.
And what I'm speaking about are the long-term consequences.
The loss of memory and
Loss of memory, the loss of motivation.
wait, what were we talking about again?
But
Right. Yeah.
but again,
The loss of motivation.
Yeah.
But how many people?
Huge.
I mean, seriously,
And,
how many?
and then
but also
this
there's-
kind of weird behavioral syndrome where they worship the weed.
Yeah, the weed is
Yeah.
worship.
And
But
the
also
lifestyle.
just the health consequence. I mean, marijuana smoke has 4 times as much tar as cigarettes.
And doesn't it lower your testosterone too?
Yeah.
Well, it
And
turns out
it'll grow your
the
breasts
gonads
as a man.
have
The gonads.
testosterone receptors. I mean, marijuana receptors. Cannabinoid, right? I'm mixed up.
That would be on the takeout club.
No, but here's the thing, and the reason I bring this up: how many people these days get on an airplane, pop a Valium? I mean, how many people regular?
At least half the plane.
At least half the plane. They get on the plane and they're like, where do they even have this?
It's
Valium?
because you can't get a drink anymore. It takes like an hour and a half.
Right. Plus,
before
you
get
can't
a
pay with
drink.
cash. Now you
Right.
need a credit card, and so the airline attendants
How
don't
do you know
steal.
that?
Because I wanted to buy a sandwich. I wanted to buy a blanket that they charged me $10 for, and because I was sitting in the cold seat.
They charge you for blankets.
They
now?
charge you for blankets on American Airlines.
American
they put me
Airlines?
in
I'm not flying
they put
American
me in the exit window
Maybe
seat.
it was just you they were charging for a blanket.
Yeah, right. They
Yeah.
just knew we can take this guy
They
for
saw
a
we
blanket.
can
They
get
saw
this
I
guy
was
for $10
freezing.
bucks.
I was shivering in
There
my
it is.
seat.
Need and
Right?
demand.
I was like, I woke up and they go
Supply
to me.
and demand.
Right,
The
but here,
sober guy, we can sell
but
him
hear
a
this.
blanket.
I wake up. I'm sitting in the exit. I'm sitting in the exit window seat, freezing, and I go to them. Why is it so cold? They're like, because you're sitting next to the window. I go, okay, I get it. I'm sitting next to a window, but I'm on a plane. It shouldn't be this freezing.
It's cold because you're selling blankets for $10.
Yeah, $10.
I'd have it down to 50.
They definitely
in the
raised
cabinet.
the air conditioning, but that's something I want to talk about after the break. Is people after the next hour is people's belief that none of these things are harmful. That you could pop a Valium. I mean, you have so many people in our society. We're so focused on people eating badly and all these missions. What about the prescriptions out there that are being given just to get on a plane and take a drug?
Well, the pharmaceutical companies are doing it well. And doing
Yeah, it ain't
right.
just to get on a plane.
pharma.
There's huge
No,
money.
huge. Yeah, right. And
Well, Valium is the best-selling drug for Pfizer of all time. In 1974 alone, they sold, this is one of my favorite stats, they sold 2.4 billion tabs of Valium in 1 year.
Right.
How do you make 2.4 billion of something? Far less sell it. You know?
You can do it. It's a high-stressed life. Man.
It's a high stress
It's a
life for a lot of
high-stressed
people.
life.
It's a lot of Valium.
and how many of those were taken by airline pilots in those days?
Probably all of them.
But I mean, it's extremely scary. I think people have become very flippant, and I think that's the word I've been for their drug use.
Well, and this notion that a pill can solve anything.
Right.
Yeah. And people pass them around, and doctors give them out freely.
It's like candy.
Yeah. Before you know it, people think, oh, it's okay. You know.
Well, now you can get anything on the internet. That's the biggest problem, I think.
But
Yeah.
you don't know what it's. You don't know what you're getting. But let me ask you this:
If you
Isn't
read,
it
If you
true?
read the side effects, you wonder why people take medicine.
But isn't
Oh.
it true that there's more death of drug addiction from prescription drugs now than any other drug?
No,
than heroin?
most overdoses occur with multiple substances, and the main substance is alcohol with something else.
Prescription drugs.
So, well, not necessarily, but it's. I mean, there's a lot of other.
I think
About
statistics.
overdose deaths or just overdose
Accidental
no,
deaths.
overdose of death.
and death,
like, resulting in
right.
death.
It's a combination, usually alcohol,
Right.
Heroin.
Heroin's big.
Yeah, heroin really shuts the system
Anything that
down.
you're shooting. I mean,
Yeah,
Anyway, we got to go out for break at
Greg,
the top of the hour.
you're listening to Clean Radio. That's Clean with a K. The number here is 877-8830, 830. 877-8830, 830.
And we'll be
Give
back
us a call. We'll be
on
back in a
Clean
minute.
Radio.
Is your drinking getting worse? Are you taking more pills than prescribed? Do you want to quit, but quitting on your own isn't working? Call Clean Treatment Center at 888-601-6040. Our 24-hour staff is here to help you. You can also check us out at cleantreatmentcenter.com. That's clean with a K. Addiction is progressive. The sooner you reach out for help, the better the chances are for recovery. Call Clean Treatment Center today at 888-601-6040.
Chaz Palminteri and De Niro
As much as bottom?
hired this kid a great lawyer, and so he's not doing, because he was an accessory.
Right.
But the other guy, talk about wasted talent. The whole message of that movie was there's nothing worse than wasted talent.
Yeah.
And it shows you it doesn't care addiction. It's just one of those things. It just doesn't care, and I think that's your point. You could be the housewife at home smoking crack. You could be, once these things get a hold of you.
Well, it's talking with people in our clinic, and they talk about how meth is so strong now they use crack to come down, and that just blew me away. I was
Really?
like, yeah, people smoke crack to come down from meth.
I have a question for the doc about crack.
Yes.
Is it really possible for people to go to sleep whilst under the influence of crack cocaine? Isn't it a mad stimulant that
It is, but some people can do that.
My ex-girlfriend could.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do cocaine and eat a lot.
Yeah, I know. You see a lot of fat cokeheads. I've always been
Right?
fascinated by fat cokeheads.
Can never
Right.
understand it.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah,
cocaine as the super sex drug? You wanted me to be funny.
Well, that's actually another one that's.
Well, you're not
yeah.
supposed to say you wanted me to be
No.
funny. That sort of ruins the joke.
No, let me tell you what happened. I was very lucky about cocaine. I only did it 4 times in my life. I don't know if they can't see out there in Radio Land, but imagine, just take the top knuckle of your pinky finger and go to the top of your pinky. That's how big my penis got. The very tip of your pinky. 4 times I did cocaine, that's how big my penis got.
Right.
And each time, 4 days later, you come to me, hey, Howie, good to see you. How you doing? And I would be like, die! Just die! I mean, I hated all mankind. So
Well,
I
you're
was
lucky
very
you weren't
fortunate. I got
wired for
no
it.
beneficial, when I smoked pot, I just laughed and had a great time.
You might have saved yourself from an STD.
I just consider myself very fortunate and blessed
cocaine
that cocaine.
is an anesthetic.
Right.
Well, I know guys that, back in the day, they were like swore by, you were sexual Superman from cocaine. And I'm like, how can you be that when your penis is the size of a number 2 pencil eraser?
And the number here is 877-8830-830 if you'd like to talk
Don't we
about
have a
Howie's
caller?
penis size.
we do have a call.
Yeah,
We have our number one fan on AM radio.
the number one fan of all AM radio.
But particularly of us. I like to think of
yes,
us.
he's our biggest fan.
Right? He's only been waiting an hour and a half.
Sonny.
God bless him.
Right? How's it going, Sonny?
Let me ask you guys something. Throughout all tonight, what the hell are you guys talking about?
What?
This is an underager, right?
Yes, he's 15.
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll explain anything, Sonny.
Yeah.
which
Ask
part,
away.
Which part didn't you
Don't do
understand?
cocaine, Sonny,
Yeah.
ever.
We found out last week Sonny has a girlfriend.
Oh, fantastic.
They've never had sex.
That's good, too.
Right?
Is that correct, Sonny?
He's just quiet. He's in shock. We've gotten Sonny to the point where we can put him on the air and he can't say anything anymore.
You know what I don't understand is that, what is that? Judah, well, first of all, I'm going to ask you something. I'm for sure, guess what? I got some good news and some bad news for you guys.
Uh-oh.
So
Let's
what do
go
you
with
guys want to hear first?
Let's
Come
go
on.
for the bad news
We
first.
want the bad news.
Yeah.
We always
The
want
girlfriend
the
is
bad news
pregnant?
No, but I'm thinking of killing my cousin, though.
Killing your
first.
cousin.
Oh, you can't. Oh, don't
Yeah,
tell me
Sonny,
that on
that-
the radio.
that's
We're-
bad news.
That's
Yeah,
bad
Sonny,
news.
please don't tell us that on the
We're
radio.
gonna have to trace your phone now and have
Yeah.
you arrested.
I'm just kidding, really. But, he likes to steal my hats, whatever the heck that's all about.
So he
doesn't-
stole my Indian hat.
No, he didn't. No, he almost got him. All right, I beat him up, though, for that.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
now we got it. Now
a
we
little
got
assault to
now we got
start.
assault on top of. I mean,
Come on, God, Andrew, do you really think I'm the kind of kid that beat him up? I'm just kidding. What the
Sonny,
heck?
I'm gonna say no just for liability purposes.
Where are you right now, Sonny?
Oh, I'm back in Rancho.
I thought you'd be in Jamaica by now.
Well,
I thought you were outside of the studio with binoculars.
No. I will be. I hope it's all right, Andrew. I will be. I'm gonna see if I can be the guest, though. If I can be a guest for next week, though. Is that okay with you guys?
Judah wants.
I think you have to have Dr. Koch here with the lithium.
Yeah, we're gonna have to-
The lithium. Whatchamacallit?
You're a minor, right, Sonny?
The needle, the lithium needle.
Sonny, you're a minor, right?
You're gonna have to send us an email, and then I'm gonna need a letter from your parents.
And the parent has to come with.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
pictures of your parents.
You need
too.
an adult guardian. This
Yeah.
is 2011. This
But-
kid will sue you.
But
It'll
seriously,
never stop.
Sonny, we do need that. If you'd like to come in, email us at KLEANRadio.com and send us your send us your.
Yeah, just email Judah at KLEANRadio.com. Just don't send him any pictures.
Yeah.
We don't want the police over at his house.
Sonny,
again.
what is the bad news?
All right.
No, that was the bad news.
Oh,
What's
what's
the good news?
What's the good news?
The bad news is that I have to buy myself another Angels cap.
Okay, that's
Which means that because he stole it.
Okay, so that's doable.
Okay.
So that's not.
That's the bad news.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Sonny.
That's
If you come in
manageable.
next week, you have an angel hat.
There you go. Look at the
Compliments of Andrew Spanswick.
Assuming you can get through the the screening process.
And what's the good news, Sonny?
Oh, I already told you guys the good news.
What was
Okay,
the
that
good
sounded
news?
really
Yeah,
weird.
well, I want to ask you.
That
Whenever
sounded extremely creepy.
I like to ask you something. When
Yes.
I do come in, which is going to be soon, I was wondering if you can teach me the Judah dance so we can drive Andrew crazy.
Oh my
Andrew's
God.
already gone crazy. from
Sonny,
that
it's a
Judah
deal.
dance, and I'm this
Sonny,
close.
Sonny, that was the bad news.
Sonny, it's a
okay?
deal. Sonny, it's a deal. So what didn't you understand what we were talking about? I'm just curious, because you're a pretty bright kid.
I don't understand what the hell you mean by bringing on up a blow, whatever those damn things are, those sex toys, those blow-up dolls.
He's still
why the hell
fixated
you bringing
on
that
the
up
blow-up
down
doll
here?
that I don't have a girlfriend
Oh,
that I want.
just Google it, Sonny.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out.
Sonny, you do have a computer.
No, I do have a computer, and I already explained that part.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't even use it for nothing, except for my schooling. It sucks.
So
Last
how
time I
did you
used it,
listen
my-
to us when you were in New York?
Well, yeah.
No, you
On
didn't
the
answer the
computer.
question. No, he doesn't have a computer.
He
It's
tuned
only-
into the cosmos.
Sonny,
He's got a
He
cosmic
can't- Our
connection with
show
you.
goes through cavities. You
Yeah.
didn't know that?
Sonny, I'll tell you what. Email
Black
us.
holes.
Yeah, right.
Email us, and like I said, with your consent forms and all
Right.
that stuff, we're going to do a background check on you.
Right, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah, I do have a question, though, for you guys.
Of course. It's
My
Sonny.
question... Yeah.
Sonny actually always has a good
He
question.
actually, his
All right,
questions
I'm
are
all
good.
ears.
So,
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
All right, let's hear Sonny's question of the week.
My question to Andrew is that can somebody get an addiction off of sex?
Well, that's what we were
Well, we're just-
discussing.
I never
Yeah.
used to believe it, but I have no doubts that that's true. Am I right, Doctor?
Answer is yes.
Answer is yes. That gives me the microwave oven a chance to come back next week for the trip to Hawaii.
All right, and Sonny, you don't have to worry about it for at least 20 years.
Oh, that's
not
that,
true.
that's
Well,
fine.
no,
That
'cause
is great.
masturbation,
I
'cause
appreciate
people are
that,
addicted to
Andrew. Thank you very
masturbation.
much, man.
So
Now
you got to
he's
start worrying right now,
Yeah.
especially in this computer age.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
No,
true.
Well, I thank you very much for saying it on the air, Andrew. I appreciate that.
That you're what? That you're addicted to masturbation?
No, he thinks I'm not going to have
I
sex for
think
about
I-
another 10 years.
I said 20, but it's
Well,
okay.
even worse, man. Come on.
Sonny, I tell you
Sonny-
what. Just do me one favor.
Sonny, you got to actually go out and meet people.
No, he has a girlfriend, but the first time you have sex,
But he's never met her.
the first time you have
Oh,
sex,
it's
with
an online. It's an
hold on. What do you
online
mean I
thing.
I
never
thought,
met
yeah,
her?
No,
I thought
son,
you met her on the
no,
computer.
no,
Oh,
no.
okay. He's
But
actually
Sonny,
met
you
her.
have to do me one favor. The first time you have sex with your girlfriend, you have to be listening to Andrew and I's radio show. and call
And
us
using a
up.
condom.
And calling us up. And please, God, do
Yeah,
use a
use
condom.
Yeah,
Please,
we,
yes.
we don't need any
Do
more
not
children.
impregnate the girl.
Yeah.
Oh, that's smart, Aunt Judah. Yeah, I'm just going to call and while I'm having sex with her and saying, all right, Judah, Andrew, I'm doing it now.
Please do. And, I mean, you're our biggest fan.
His
Wow.
parents are going to love you too.
I know. Somehow I think this
I
is
don't
going to end up in
think the
civil
parents
court.
are going to allow him to come.
Yeah, neither do I.
I do have a question, by the way, for Judah. No,
Sonny
I'm
just
sorry. I
hit
have an
puberty.
answer.
Sonny's voice is changing.
Sonny just hit
Yay!
Mazel
I have
tov.
an
Sonny's all
answer
grown
for the
up.
question. Last week, Judah and Andrew asked me if I have a Facebook. I do
Right.
have a Facebook. You guys can go on to it.
Oh, I
No, you
can't believe
They're
it.
grown
All right,
men.
how do
They
we
can't
get
have
Yeah.
15-year-olds
How do
on
we
their
get
Facebook.
to? I gotta know how to get to Sonny's
Yeah,
Facebook.
So
Sonny.
just go to Google, just look on up my name, and then
Well, what's your last name, Sonny?
all right,
So there's a
Cruz,
lot of
C-R-U-Z.
Sonny Cruz.
C-R-U-Z.
Yeah, so just
like a boat ship.
Sonny
Right.
Cruz Facebook.
And you're not a dealer?
Sonny, if you ever get into
Hold
porn,
on
you
a
don't even
sec.
have to change your name.
I have a question. What's that supposed to mean? Am I a dealer?
Sonny Cruz.
Sonny
It
Cruz.
sounds like a dealer.
You could be a porn star or a
From
drug
my-
dealer.
Right,
Oh.
you got the name.
Come on, man. I'm Tom Cruise's name is Tom Cruise, and he's not a damn dealer.
Yeah, but it's
porn
not
star.
Yeah.
C-R-U-Z.
He's making a lot of money though with very little talent other than a name.
Sonny, by the way, thank you
It's
very
a great
much.
name, by the
Yeah,
way.
and-
Penelope Cruz is hot too. Jesus.
All right. Anyway, the only best way for me to stay in contact with you guys is that.
Wait, hold on a
Me
second.
going on your guys' Facebook and
Sonny,
emailing you guys
are you
there.
related to Penelope Cruz? Because
No,
if you
no, I
are,
don't even
there's
know
a bigger chance you're getting on the radio.
Or
What
is
makes
she?
you
Or
think I
Sonny,
know
is
who
she
that
your
is?
girlfriend?
Right? Yeah.
Hold on. What makes you think I know who that is?
Penelope Cruz?
Yeah.
You don't know
Because
who
she's a
Penelope
big
Cruz?
movie
I
star.
have no idea. How
She's
am I
like-
supposed to know? I don't get out.
You don't get out a little more, Sonny. She's like one of the hottest.
Go to
like,
your
film-
IMDb, put in Penelope Cruz.
She hasn't been in.
Right?
She hasn't been in a sports show.
Your sex addiction will begin tonight.
And look for the movie. What's that famous movie? The one of the Pedro Almodovar. The Pedro, Pedro
Almodovar.
Yeah,
She's been
however
on-
you pronounce
She
it.
was in 3 of them.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Speaking
all.
of rock stars, coming on this, see what you guys said earlier. Who you guys were even talking about earlier?
It's a
What was
band
his
called
name?
Warrant, Sonny. They
Warrant.
sold about 15 million albums. They were pretty
Before
big.
you were born.
Yeah, but they sold albums when people bought albums.
Those
Oh.
days are gone. And it was
Yeah.
more
Actually
rock and
vinyl.
roll death.
Although
I was
And
going.
there's more to come.
I thought you guys were like talking about rock star life. I was going to say my father knew Eric Clapton himself.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, now that's pretty impressive.
What does your father do,
Eric's
Sonny?
sober.
You have anything signed by Eric Clapton?
No.
Bring it in next week.
Yeah, right.
Sonny, by the way, thank you very much for the phone call.
And just for in case you noticed, dude, I got your hat signed by Carlos Santana.
Carlos Santana. You mean the guy at the band Santana?
Yeah, the one that's on the Cleveland Indians.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know his name was Carlos Santana. Thank you very much, Sonny.
No problem, Jerry. Thanks for you guys.
I'm going to have to Google Carlos Santana after this.
After we screen your Facebook
Yeah.
page.
There are a lot of Sonny Cruzes, by the way. Sonny, how do you spell your first name? S-U-N-N-Y?
No, I've
S.O.
done. That's you're the 5th person that's said that before. Believe it or not, mine is S-O-N-N-I-E.
N-N-I-E. Wow.
It's a little different.
You're going to have more friends after
Yeah.
the show.
Sonny,
than you
like
do.
us on Facebook. So,
Right.
yeah, like us, and we'll talk to you next week, Sonny.
And hold on, your guys' Facebook is what again? Clean Radio.
Yeah, Sonny,
Yeah,
you've
with
heard
a
it
K.
27,000
you only
times.
listen every
With a
week.
K.
Yeah, clean with a K.
K-L-E-A-N.
I expect a like from you tonight, Sonny.
R-A-D-I-O. Clean
Sonny came
Radio.
home
I don't know.
with a question.
All right, Sonny.
Thank you very much, guys, for
Sonny,
having me
we'll
on.
talk to you soon.
All
You're listening to Clean Radio. That's Clean with a K. That's one of our number 1 fans. Sonny.
He is our number 1
He
fan.
is our number
whether we
1
like
fan.
it or not.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying whether we like it or not. I'm just saying that he is definitely a committed fan.
Hey, who cares, right? Any fan is a good fan.
I don't know. I have a standing rule on Facebook. Once I find out that anyone's under 18, they're off my Facebook.
Oh, that's a must. That
you
is
just
a must.
added a minor to your
Okay,
Facebook
but he's a
page.
dude.
That
And
does not matter.
and we're going to be talking with
Do you
Sonny
watch
tonight.
the news at all?
We're going to be talking with Sonny
Anyway.
tonight
You watch
about
the news?
what a bottom is.
Call us on
And,
Clean Radio. Our number is
877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. We're in the
Call in with a question about
Yeah.
nitrous oxide.
Yeah, we're in the
That'll
studio
be
tonight
a funny
with
conversation.
All right, we're gonna take a
great-looking
break, guys.
comic Howie Walfish and Dr. Co. We'll be back in a second.
Addiction is any behavior you cannot stop that results in destructive consequences. Are you struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol? Are you ready to take control of your life? The treatment advisors at KLEAN Treatment Center are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040. That's 888-601-6040. You can also check us out at cleantreatmentcenter.com. That's clean with a K. The sooner you reach out for help, the sooner your new life begins.
Okay, Judah. Why do I put up with this? We're on live on the radio. I'm dealing with Judah like molesting me. Unbelievable. But I guess we're not a show about molestation. We're a show. Well, we can talk about that, but we're really a show about drug addiction and recovery.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you can reach us here at 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830. We're in the studio tonight with one of my favorite people, Dr. Jason Coe. No offense to you, Howie. Just met you.
Second favorite.
But
Can I be second?
He is the psychiatrist that actually gives you the honest answer.
And I have questions for him.
And he has answers.
All right.
But let me get to my question first.
Okay.
How would
It's
you
kind of polite guy I am.
How would you
Based on things.
how would you diagnose our comedian Howie Walfish?
Oh, I haven't talked to him long enough. So
See, that's a good doctor.
Yeah.
Right?
Unlike those doctors you see on the TV that just see somebody, a clip of someone, and then just.
I'll tell you
Get
what.
him all.
Ask him.
What you don't realize is he's $400 an hour.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I got to fit whatever I can get. You know,
That's why he hasn't talked to you
a buck, $2, I'll take it. No, but I'm curious about this, and for you guys too. I'm
Yes.
curious in
Right.
in the treatment facility. To what degree does intensive physical exercise play a part in helping people come out of severe addiction? Do you put them on a really, heavy, to get those endorphins flowing, to get them running, to get them on the treadmill, to get them in a boxing class, martial arts class?
Good question.
That is a very good question.
It's different for everybody. The first thing is they got to screen them.
We call that lifestyle factors.
Okay.
Everyone goes to the gym every morning at our treatment center.
Excellent.
We focus on diet, balanced activities. One of the things we don't fight is the smoking.
I'm with you. I agree 100%.
But
another smoker.
No, I don't smoke.
You
but I
don't?
think the worst thing you could do to an addict who's overcome their addiction is take away their cigarettes.
Well, not when
I like this guy. He's like the champion.
It's the worst
like,
addiction of them all. I think.
It's something. Leave them something. For God's sake, give them a
Diet
break.
Coke.
Oh yeah, that's very healthy stuff.
That's what I'm
addiction
saying.
kills 1 in 4 people in this country now.
Astounding.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
It is.
Yeah, now I'm
Astonishing.
including cigarettes there, but
You don't have to.
What about sugar?
Wow, I like the
sugar
emphasis
is not refined. Sugar is not healthy.
When I walked away from pot and alcohol, it was like nothing. It really was not an effort for me. Last year, I went 12 weeks without eating sweets. The hardest thing I ever did in my life. Thank you very much. The defense rests.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That fell by the wayside. In fact, I had a Snickers bar this morning and a Haagen-Dazs ice cream bar this evening.
I just bought you a Haagen-Dazs ice cream
and a
bar
lot of
coming
protein
in.
at dinner. A lot of carbs and protein at dinner.
So
he came to the clean barbecue.
Yeah, he did.
I
He came
think
to
the
clean
hardest
barbecue.
thing is caffeine and sugar and nicotine. Which is the hardest? Is it caffeine, sugar, or nicotine? Because it's not heroin or meth.
Well, nicotine, and primarily because of its mode of delivery. And, it goes right in. And then it goes right out.
Judas dying right in front
out.
of us. He's wheezing into
Yeah,
the
but
microphone.
he hasn't had a drink or smoked pot or done anything in how many years?
They're almost 13.
Right.
Smoke all the cigarettes you want, man.
Right, because they're going to kill you.
But don't drink Diet Coke. And don't eat as many hot dogs as I saw you eat at that barbecue.
How many hot dogs did you eat?
Judy's going to
one.
start working on the cigarettes.
I ate one. I ate one hot dog.
I guess you know what it is. Where I grew up, there were so many known junkies. Again, nice
How
white.
defensive was that? That was the most defensive.
not
Because
true.
I
He's
actually,
He's
you're
lying.
right about
He
that.
ate
I got
2
to
or
start.
3.
Dr.
Four
Co's actually right
hamburgers.
that I got to start working on the smoking more. But as far as healthy diet, I'm a fairly healthy. How many times do I pass up when you go to Carl's when Andrew?
Can't eat fast.
Andrew, how many times when you are debating Carl's Jr. or McDonald's,
Right, and I pass.
and you pass, and I say, "Good for you," and
you don't get anything either.
and I don't get anything either. I'm actually very healthy as far as
Dr.
food
Coe,
wise.
Dr. Coe, in the first 30 days of overcoming an addiction or fading away from an addiction,
Which is the detox period.
are people allowed to go to fast food restaurants?
Well, we're not going to make a big deal out of that.
Really?
Depending on the substance.
It's poison.
I think you should go to rehab just to
it's
do a
poison.
study on what
No,
we
no,
do.
no.
there.
I don't believe that. I think you can eat healthy at fast food restaurants.
I think you can eat healthy.
There are healthy options now. Yeah,
Not just that they're healthy options. Every once in a while to get something is not a bad thing.
And I also think people overplay it. I mean, there is a lot of salt and whatever, and a lot of fast food. French fries probably are the worst thing you could probably have there, but. It's not as bad.
I
as
love
people
this
make it.
defense. This is the same defense I use for
Okay,
cigarettes.
I'm going to
It's
tell you the
true.
truth.
This
I'm on
is
his
the same
side.
defense I use
Every
for
now
cigarettes.
and
Here's
then,
the
it's not a
doctor.
big deal.
The doctor.
But it's every once in a while.
Don't point at me like I'm like the spokesperson. I don't even like fast food. Really.
Judah has twice said that I'm 31 years old.
You know what Andrew's theme song in the 80s was? Aren't you hungry for Burger King now?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the truth about fast food.
And
Judah
Judas
has
was.
twice said.
I would repeat what Judas was when he told us in the car, but you can't even repeat it on the radio. So.
I don't know.
Twice he has said I'm 31 years old.
Right.
Here's the truth. I'm 72. I haven't eaten fast food in 50 years.
You don't look.
That's why I look like
You
this.
don't look a day older.
Okay? Once a year I'll have Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I don't drink those psycho energy drinks.
Right? I can't
That's
even believe you have
definite can.
anything to say to me, honestly.
I don't have anything to say
I buy
to
you a pack of
I'm
cigarettes
proud
every
of what
week.
you
drink
do.
energy
I love your
drinks.
gluttony.
My gluttony is steak and it's not fast food. Trust me.
I don't trust
Steak
you.
is good.
I don't trust you, okay? Because I hang out with you constantly.
I eat an occasional milkshake. I'm a sucker for a milkshake.
Occasional burger, healthy
that
though.
sounds good.
Right?
You
Milkshake.
know, a lot of this is
very
genetic.
American.
You know, some people.
Bingo!
Yeah.
Jack LaLanne went to 96 in perfect health, and then he died. There are guys still alive at 104 who drink and smoke every day.
And didn't exercise at
and
all.
don't exercise.
And it's like, right. But you know, I'm going to tell you
It
one
won't
thing.
be Judah.
It won't.
No, Judah's going to go the distance.
I don't.
Judah's going to melt.
He's going to make the.
It might be Andrew.
He's going to make the 52.
We're melting
Judah,
with
please.
machines.
How old were your
All
grandparents?
my relatives died in their 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were
Genetics.
obese?
Yeah.
They were all obese.
Much more obese than I am.
You're not obese. You're pleasantly plump.
Well, thank you, Judah. That's the best, nicest you've been to me yet.
They went to their 90s obese.
Yeah.
Remember the
That's
La Yogurt commercials?
unbelievable.
Remember the old school
Genetics.
La
They're
Yogurt
Scottish, you know. They just drank.
The Scottish have very
drank,
strong
like,
constitution.
Yeah, they just and they're mean about it the whole
They're
time.
They're
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
That's a strong
I was
race.
there. I was on the Isle of Mull. I went to Scotland.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
You know
get
what
it
you
for a
hear on
second.
the Isle of Mull? There's a place
This
called
is
the
a
Isle of
setup,
Mull.
I can tell, right?
No, you
Yeah.
know what you hear all day on the Isle of Mull? Two things. And I'll have another pint. I'll have another pint. That is a fully functional alcoholic society.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, I was just in Scotland last August, I guess, and my cousins they started drinking at like 10.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they
All day,
drank
all night.
all day long, all night, and
Yep.
you would never know they were drinking.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's a what is it
Just-
called, Doc? You develop a
Tolerance.
a tolerance,
Tolerance,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of the culture.
But it's genetic too. I mean,
And it's
you
part
know,
of the culture.
Yeah. I mean, the Scottish are better at drinking than the Irish too, even.
Right. The
Yes.
Irish get crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Scottish are
They
very,
started the IRA.
Although
Talk
the
about
violence
crazy.
going on in Britain right now, I don't know. It's been pretty crazy. They've been having all that rioting and everything. So
That's not
Yeah.
the Brits. That's their immigrant population.
No, I heard
It's
them.
the
I heard
nationalists
the
going
interviews going on. It was English.
It's
Yeah.
the hooligans.
Yeah, it was the
Yes.
hooligans. It wasn't
Yeah.
like the immigrant population is the ones they're attacking.
yeah, they're attacking.
Yeah,
okay.
they're
my
they're-
bad. My
yeah,
bad.
they're you know
I
the-
made an
the whole-
assumption.
which is
Yeah,
always
it's the
which
England
is,
for the English.
which
movement.
sadly is
Yeah.
always the case.
It's
If
the
you look at
hooligans.
rioting, it's
Yeah.
almost never the immigrants that are
Well,
rioting.
not in France when they were
It's-
burning
Why
up the
they
cars.
just they
It
finally
was the
got
North
they
African
finally got some good
immigrants.
fast food. They're finally happy.
The number here is 877-8830, 830.
We
It's
actually got a call.
830, 830. We do have a call.
Doesn't
Let's
anybody
take it.
want to talk to me? No one's called in to talk
Howie.
to me.
Howie.
Rob,
I'm pretty
who-
well known amongst the
Oh, we just
Hollywood
lost
crowd.
our
We just
call.
lost. We lost our
I
call.
think
You-
it got dropped by
you
accident.
you scared
Rob,
him
if
off.
you're out there,
I'm
give
trying
us a
to
call
get my
back.
friend to call.
Okay, and if anybody's wondering,
Howie's rapid dialing.
if
friend is trying to
anybody,
get
if
them to call.
anybody is wondering what Howie
What's
looks
the name
like,
of the station again?
AM 830. This is very professional, of you, Howie.
Right.
And I love how Howie's hair is being affected by the
I
headset.
can't stand that my hair is being affected by these.
You
these,
sort of, you sort of,
headphones.
you sort of looking like a
Right.
demented dice with the.
Right. Right?
And I'm within hitting distance of you.
But no,
It's pomade. Is that pomade?
No, this is
Heavy-duty gel?
Aussie. Because right
Aussie.
now, finances don't allow me to get the best hair gel off of eBay, which is KMS. You get a huge tub for $50. You would normally get one fifth of that for like $25. It's unbelievable.
You are fascinating,
eBay.
my friend.
You know what? I
Fascinating.
wonder when they're gonna
KMS
stop-
is expensive, by the way.
KMS is the
I
best.
have
Why
to-
is it expensive?
I don't know if you guys
But
know
then
this,
why would you even
but
know about it?
there's
Your hair
actually-
does nothing. It just sits there.
There's
KMS is the best stuff on the
By the
market.
way, can I tell you-
There's a dermatological cream for cows called KMS that comes in a large jar.
And why
too.
would you even know such a thing?
Because Andrew knows everything.
Does KMS cream for cows help add more value to your steak when you cook it?
I don't know what it does to your hair, but you
All
know.
I know is I have beautiful hair. I've always been very proud of it. I thank God for it every morning.
Really?
Yeah.
That attached to your hair?
Did it touch my hair?
No, are you that
Oh,
attached
very
to your
attached.
hair?
Look at him. Of
Oh,
course, he's
yeah.
got
Are
a
you
he's got a half a
kidding?
pompadour.
See,
Right?
Look at that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's got a lot of work on that hair.
Hair is very important to me.
Hey, Joey
Right.
Buttafuoco called. He wants his hair back.
Oh, I just got lucky. Most of the guys I grew up with, they're like you.
Yeah.
The
well,
hair is gone.
I got hair. It's
Andrew
just-
was actually very upset with me that I shaved my head last week.
I don't know why you
And
would
he
do
said
that.
to me, he goes, "It's like what? You want me to walk around with fake glasses?" And
Good
he got
for him.
he
What are
got
you
very.
talking
I
about?
was just making up a story.
He's making up
But-
stories now.
Did you guys want to talk about laughing gas now?
Yeah,
No.
we do, because you want to.
Doc, let me ask you a question. Are you in on every one of these shows?
No, I come every now and then.
Every now and then?
Yeah.
Do you ever notice them, how they interact with their guests? Do they have prepared questions? Do they seem to have any interest in their guests? Do they, how do they operate? I'm just curious.
Just how you see.
Just how you see.
Yeah.
This poor Doc is so... You know what? I'm a little curious about the Doc. He's possibly the calmest man I've ever met in my life. And he's a psychiatrist, which means he has access to medication.
Yeah, no.
No.
He doesn't take anything
No.
except vitamins.
It's 100 laps of swimming before he came
and
here.
you should
He
see
does
what
a
he
lot of
eats.
swimming.
And
he don't eat much because he don't
No,
have
no, he
0%
eats
body.
a lot.
He eats a lot.
But he has
it's all
0% body fat.
It's all salad.
Yeah.
I swear.
He's a rabbit.
Dr.
He's a
Ko
rabbit.
and I go out to dinner quite often. I've known him since 1991. We've eaten a lot of meals together. This is what it looks
Salad
like.
always-
This is what the meal looks like. Jason
Come on.
has 2 or 3, and I'm not kidding you, large salads combined into the biggest plate they have at the restaurant.
Those were my younger days.
Right, and I have right
When he was wild.
right, and I have a steak, mashed potatoes, and like green beans and carrots, and dessert, and then he still just chomps away on his head. He's like a cow, and I'm like, you know,
Andrew's 27.
All I know is he has 0% body fat. I could tell that just by looking at him. You don't need to be an
I eat my
expert to
fish.
see it.
Yeah.
yeah, that's not real fat in a fish. That's just oil.
Yeah,
That's
fat
brain
fish.
fat.
How
It is
long? By the
brain
way,
fat, right?
Howie, say an interesting question. How long have you been a comedian?
Officially, probably going towards 9 years, where I've actually been out there doing stand-up. I've done this murder mystery thing a lot longer, and I've been a guy that's entertained people my whole life. One of those guys, just always been. When I worked in restaurants, they flocked back to see me. They brought all their friends and relatives because, the New York waiter was there, and he was just going to crack you up.
Okay, so since you've been doing it before sobriety and after sobriety,
Exactly correct.
have people noticed a difference?
Yes, actually, the people that know me the best, the ones at the Murder Mystery Show, that's a good question.
And
Very
also,
good.
And also, have you noticed the difference?
Yes, here's the deal. I used to drive in traffic to Orange County on a fairly regular basis to do the Murder Mystery Show, and I am not a fan of traffic at all. So I would have vodka and pink lemonade in a Carl's Jr. cup in the console. I didn't feel too bad about it because we weren't moving but 10, 20 miles an hour. By the time I got to the show, because I'd get so riled up from the traffic, and I had to entertain people and make them feel good. So by the time I got to the show, I was good to go. And I'd bring my Arrowhead water bottle filled with vodka, and I'd drink through the show. And I gave great shows. Now,
by the way,
I entertained excellently.
And that's when he reached
However,
the bottom.
Yeah.
I reached a point. I did reach a point where I felt like you'll never get true confidence in whatever it is you're doing, especially as an entertainer. If every time you entertain, you're under the influence of something, you'll never develop that true confidence that they can never take away from you. You'll always feel like I'm funny when I've got a couple of martinis in me.
Right.
So I stopped. And after doing the show sober for maybe 3-6 months, the people that work with me very regularly, every single one of them said, "You are so much sharper. You are so much funnier. Howie, you kill them out there." And that was an interesting thing to take notice of. When I first started stand-up, there was too much fear to not go up without a couple of martinis. But now, no. Just, I did discover a secret about actors in Hollywood and auditioning. And what we discussed earlier, the Xanax.
Beta blockers are better.
Whatever it is,
You stay
I
sharper.
never knew about them. I didn't go on that many auditions, and I booked a few commercials. But I found out that many an actor of every caliber goes to those auditions with a half a Xanax in them or a beta blocker or whatever to ease it. Now, what you learn in acting class is supposed to eradicate that fear. It's supposed to give you the strength and confidence to own the stage when you go in front of that camera and those casting people. But it's a lot easier to just shut it off with whatever, a beta blocker or Xanax or whatever.
Judy does it with dancing.
Yes, I do it with
right?
dancing.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
the anxious,
I can
nervous
see that because it
dancing.
releases some endorphins and,
Right.
Well, the
And
one
he
friend
can't
that I
look
do
any-
have,
he
I've
can't look
tried
any
to
worse.
reach to call, but they don't seem to understand that it's AM 8:30.
I'm looking at this phone. Can I see your phone?
Yeah,
for a
it's
second?
an
Right,
old
is it
style.
like,
Yeah.
wow, what
It's
year
a-
is that?
Is Nokia
That's
still
like-
in business?
Yeah, it's a Star Trek. It's what Captain Kirk used. That's why
That's
I like it.
We are
Dr.
such
Ko, come in. Dr. Ko.
we are such phone snobs. The number
Ko,
here,
I'm in crisis.
The number here is
Jude is about to dance again. Please stop it. Make it stop.
The number here is 877-8830, 830. That's 877-8830, 830. You're listening to Klean Radio. That's Klean with a K. You can find us on Facebook at Klean Radio. Like us.
Yeah, we actually have a call coming in.
We do have a call coming in. We have a call. I think your phone is messing up phones.
Why don't we take a break?
Yeah, we'll be right back. You're listening to Klean, and if we are streaming tonight for the first time.
We are streaming live thanks to Patrick and his amazing technical.
And let's think of people that put on the show right away. You know, Jamie B does such an amazing job putting on this show and helping us out. Your wife, Amy Dresner, booking the comics.
Amy Dresner rules. Very funny woman.
And in the studio tonight we have Howie Walfish, very funny entertainer. And the great psychiatrist.
And Judah.
Dr.
What would we
Ko.
do without Judah?
And what would we do without the Judah? And the Judah dance.
I'll
dance out.
Welcome. Come back to Klean Radio. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Suspect a loved one is abusing drugs? Call Klean Treatment Center at 888-601-6040 for a free drug test and consultation. A treatment advisor is available to help you administer the test and answer any questions you may have regarding treatment and more. We are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040 or find us online at cleantreatmentcenter.com for your free drug test and the start of a promising future.
We're back on the air again.
Judas dancing.
Ha! Yeah.
Wow.
You got a little harmony with that one.
You
For the
really,
black boy.
honestly, I'm going to get you some lessons or something.
Your mother offered to pay. Your father.
My mother offered to pay for
a while
lessons?
back in the beginning, yeah.
For
Your mom
dancing
said your
lessons?
dad would pay.
God, she's so generous.
She is generous because I'm not her son. And
and she's Scottish.
And she is Scottish. And
why are the Scots known for being the cheapest of all cheap?
because they're broke.
Well, no. Yeah, well,
It's not like there's a lot
they're
of money
actually
running
not cheap.
around.
They're cheap with their own relatives.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, is there a lot of money in those days in Scotland? It's not
There's
like you
treasure
think of.
chests.
Look, there were
hidden.
two really bad wars. Remember World War I, World War II.
Yeah,
There
I'm
was
familiar with that.
Was
rationing.
that Braveheart guy? That was a
well,
big
that-
issue.
He's still causing him problems. Actually, my grandmother on my mother's side grew up right around that whole area, the Tweed and with the river and William.
Okay,
Wallace.
great story.
There's a giant statue of him.
William
walking
Wallace,
distance from
Liam
my grandmother's
Neeson.
house.
Who played William Wallace? Didn't Liam Neeson?
But no.
No, Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. But who did Liam Neeson play? Didn't he play
Rob Roy.
Rob Roy.
That was a great movie with Jessica Lange.
Good drink. What is a Rob Roy?
It's a drink from like ladies in their 80s who lived in the 40s.
They're probably 120 now, but anyway.
Now, wasn't there a Tom Collins? Tom Collins is a male's drink, and isn't it like the
Back in
female
the
version is the
50s.
Mary Collins?
I don't know about that.
Doc?
They'd probably know
I
about that
don't
in
know
the gay
No
clubs.
idea.
They'd know about that.
Scotch and vermouth.
Scotch and vermouth.
Yeah.
Have you ever bartended?
I actually have bartended. Yes, I have.
So have I.
Really?
Yeah, I was a horrible bartender.
Really? I can't imagine you serving anything but a beer.
That's all I was
and
able to
that's
do.
about
They
it.
would like, because
And
I had to
maybe a screwdriver.
First
I think
of
you
all,
could probably get a screwdriver.
what happened
right.
was I was waiting in a restaurant. I would get the shakes. I would get the, I was detoxing, and I remember
he made the best martini in
and
Brooklyn.
I remember I would have to ask other waiters to carry out the soup for me. Because my hands in the trays were shaking. You could hear me. If you were wondering, I was like a human tic tac. Like
Oh,
literally, you could
God.
hear the plates. And then they had me go bartend. And I mean, there were like two or three people at this bar, and they were the sad people. Like one was the artist that was successful, but you saw him dying of alcoholism.
It was like Piano Man.
Right. It was exactly. And then
Billy
me
Joel
behind the
song.
bar, like I mean, not the greatest of bartenders. And yeah,
that's not.
they would ask me to make drinks, and I'd be like, "Don't you want something else?"
I actually went to
Have a beer.
I actually went to
Yeah.
bartending school. I can't
thirst
remember
quenching.
all the different.
I did. I went to bartending
I went
school
to
too.
bartending school, and I learned
I
how to
somehow
make.
convinced my parents after rehab that
That
bartending
was a good
school
idea?
that would be a good idea
Oh
to
my
make quick money.
God.
And this is the God's honest truth story. And
I'm going to crack manufacturing facility. Like,
and I went to bartending school, got my license, and
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a bartender.
Need a license to mix drinks, but not to have babies.
Amazing, right?
Right? Yeah, go figure that one out.
The number here is 877-8830-830. That's 877-8830-830.
Right, Howie's friend just not interested.
Yeah, Howie, what's going on with you?
Don't we have a call waiting?
Ant got 9 calls. Yeah, he hung up on us.
Yeah.
Ant got 9 calls.
Yeah.
Well, Ant does have a degree of celebrity that I have not yet attained.
What will it take
That's
for you
not
to
what
attain
I
that?
haven't done Comedy Central roasts as he has.
Wow.
877-830-830.
No. You keep on leaving out an 8. That might be why
That's
your friends are not
One more
calling
time.
in.
877-830-830.
Yeah.
877.
Okay, let's get back to Dr. Coe.
Great
Yes, you
radio.
wanted to ask me a question.
It's right on the wall there. See
You
up there,
wanted.
like, right up
I
there.
didn't want to ask you a question. You wanted me to ask you a question. Okay,
I'm the
Howie,
guest.
let's ask you a question. What do you do for fun and sobriety, Howie Walfish? Tell us about how exciting your life is. Because I know you go to the gym.
He learns how to work his cell phone.
I don't go to the gym.
He has a couple of
I have
cats.
it all set up at my house. I have 2 cats. One that hangs outside, whose job is to keep rid of the vermin. One that jumped through the window after the psychotic girlfriend left. Then I have 2 amazing dogs. Max, 85 pounds of the calmest standard poodle you will ever see. And then a 55-pound red-nosed pit bull, which you didn't give any of my credits. You probably gave Ant his credits.
Now, Howie, there's a reason. No, we do that at the end. But there's a reason
'Cause I'm
why
the
I didn't
producer
ask you
of
about
it.
fun and sobriety. You know what that is?
Fun and sobriety.
You
Here's
don't
my
sound
fun.
like any
Here's what
fun.
it is. The animals, the dogs. The
Yes.
dogs.
Max and
Playing
Zelda.
with Max and Merlin is unbelievably fun, I must say. It
And
is.
Are
It's
these
amazing.
after sobriety dogs or pre-sobriety dogs?
No, these are after sobriety dogs. I inherited Max from the psychotic ex-girlfriend, and Merlin.
I think he's really stuck on this doc. He's really stuck on this psychotic ex-girlfriend.
Because I knew she had issues with drinking, but when I discovered she was a crack addict, that blew my mind.
You didn't know.
Because you'd never know it to look at her. She was a good-looking woman.
Wait,
healthy.
You didn't know she was a crack addict, and she was living with you?
And that's when I learned that.
Wow.
You know they. Oh well, isn't it true that addicts are best at deceit, better than anyone else?
Yeah, but crack's a little hard to cover.
Let me
up.
tell you, she was good. That's all I
Really?
can say. It took a little while, but I found out. But I was mind-boggled.
How long did you guys date?
Well, we've known each other on and off a number of years, but I moved her in, and I was astonished at. I just was astonished.
You moved her in.
I moved her into the house.
I moved
have
her
a great
in.
house.
I know.
I picked her up and I moved her in.
No, she was living in Vegas. There was some. She was.
Oh, that was
Okay,
a clue.
this story, right?
Well, you had the whole 2 hours to get to this story, but
Right? Okay. Now you got.
anyway, sobriety fun.
No. Let's get back. That's an interesting
I
story.
want it back on the
yeah,
crack
so you
addict
found her
Okay,
in
so
Vegas.
here's let me
Got a
address
doc
this
out
to
of
the
it.
doc.
Yes.
Okay. I saw the drinking doc, and she was in a bad way in Vegas, and I thought maybe you can tell people that are listening.
Captain Save.
I thought I could at least help get her a chance to get on the straight and narrow by living with me. You know, I did because I was on the straight and narrow.
and she became a crack addict.
And no,
You just
she
pushed
didn't
her right
become.
into
She had been smoking crack all along. But this is
Right.
the amazing thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've seen meth addicts. I've seen crack addicts. I've seen coke addicts. I've seen what happens to them. I've seen the way they look. She did not look like any of this. She was very healthy. She looked good. She had a good body. Whenever I took her, all people said was, "Oh, she's so pretty. She has pretty eyes." She was functional. There was just no.
Those were her dealers.
I'm telling you that
she's a functioning crackhead.
I was amazed that I was fooled because I used to kind of look down on people that could be fooled by that. But she fooled me well until I caught her sleeping. That's why I asked earlier about the sleeping. She was asleep, and next to her were 4 crack pipes. And I just
crack pipes?
Yes, I picked them up and I left the back room. I have a back room in the house where we could have a little privacy. I
Tried
took
each
them,
one.
I took them and I waited. I let her wake up and discover. And she walked into the bathroom. I was shaving, and I said there was nothing to say. I caught her red-handed.
All right, I have to admit something.
Yes.
I actually had a girlfriend that was smoking crack. And I didn't know it either.
For how long though?
For like a couple months.
A couple of
dating
months.
her.
And then
Wait. Here's my story.
That's
though,
what
right?
it was. A couple of months.
I didn't know she was smoking crack. I thought she had an eating disorder. and this is what would happen. I'd be hanging out with her. I'd be in her house. She'd be in the bathroom for 20 minutes, and I just thought she was like purging. And I'm like, I got to talk to this girl, and she's skinny, right?
Well, of
so I'm like,
course.
I'm like, I got to talk to her about her eating disorder. So she comes up to me and she's like, God, I hope she's not listening to this. Anyway, so she comes up to me and she goes, I got something to tell you. And I go, I know, we really have to discuss it. And I'm about to say, your eating disorder. And she goes, you know I've been smoking crack in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
And I was like, oh, no, crack. Eating disorder I know how to treat.
Right.
No.
Or I know how to deal with.
Yeah, right. So that's,
So how did you, so you found.
I found out and out the house she went.
Okay, so have you seen her recently?
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen her because I have her dog and...
she came out from behind the pole.
No, but this is the thing I keep trying to tell you. She was curvy, 122 pounds, healthy, great behind on her.
Right.
You would not know this was a crack
But
addict.
now
she doesn't look so good, and I'm very concerned.
That's what I was about to ask. Right.
I'm very concerned.
So it's finally caught up with her.
Well, I'm hoping that the court is going to insist that she go to a rehab facility, and I pray for her every day. But any news I hear on her will not shock me. Any news. It will not shock me. I will be sad, but I will not. I've done it. There's nothing that I can do.
Do you go to Al-Anon?
I went once.
How old is
10
she?
minutes. I couldn't.
Why? Well, no, now I'm curious. Why? I mean, I've gone to a few Al-Anon meetings myself. And to people listening, Al-Anon is for family members of people that are using significant others, loved ones.
Yes.
Maybe it would be helpful to you if you.
I went once in North Hollywood, and I'm just not that cat. It was very depressing to me, and it wasn't me. I couldn't do it. I was seeing a great therapist at the time, and he actually, I didn't know it, but he was an addiction specialist. So he helped me to understand her. And then once I found out about her issues, I started watching Intervention, and I started to understand the severity of what was being dealt with. I never understood the severity of it. And that show Intervention, man, that was like blew you off the couch. So all that's left for me to do for her is pray.
How long ago was this?
That I discovered the crack is probably like a year now.
So it's still pretty fresh.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely pretty fresh. But I have inherited.
How long were y'all together?
We were together on and off for many years. I knew her through a couple of marriages. We have a long history, which is one of the things. I'm fiercely loyal, so I don't just abandon people. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't all about her just being a drug addict. There's many years and many times that woman brought me a lot of comfort, a lot of pleasure, a lot of joy, a lot of goodness. And that makes it that much harder to watch someone deteriorate and destroy themselves. And she's one of the most sensitive people I've ever known. And I'm like, why?
Most drug addicts are very
I would think that. I was about to say. I think that Doc, that is probably, if you look at every alcoholic, every addict that you'll ever meet, or the sensitivity, they are the most hypersensitive.
They can't handle the hypersensitivity.
They can't handle.
It's too much. Is that right, Doc?
That's right. That's something I was talking about earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Is their vulnerability to any slights or anything that lowers their self-esteem. It's shaky.
It's too much.
They're fragile people.
They're fragile people.
Yeah. And they're using all kinds of props.
All right, getting back to fun and sobriety.
Are you happy I do ask the questions?
When you come to my house and take Max, the most stunningly gorgeous, magnificently beautiful standard poodle you'll ever see in the history of the universe.
Yes.
Take
him
double
out. Date.
Take him out.
Westminster.
Take him out into the park and watch him run free in the park, and you're just ear to ear grin, and you'll know there's a God.
I will agree with you on this. It's when I got sober in New York.
Judah feels that way about his hamster.
that hamster, I had to kill the hamster.
My pet hamster, little Judah.
Oh, Judah's hamster.
So
right, he's the Judah.
I'm the Judah. My hamster's the little Judah. And when I was getting sober in New York, one of the things I started every week, I would buy a new CD because I had sold my CD collection, or I had lost it in other places. And I remember I was so proud of myself. I would buy this new CD, and rebuilding my things I had taken for granted, I now started to cherish a little bit.
Right. Care about, right?
Yeah, and it's like, you share that experience too. Things you've lost in
with my ex-wives,
with your ex-wives, and bad decisions, and all
bad
of those things.
Decisions,
and now it's like we speak about this all the time. You live a very modest life. You're excited about this new car that you're getting. No, you do. Comparatively to a lot of people we know,
true.
You're not upside down in houses.
No,
you're not. You've decided that
I didn't buy the biggest car I could
Right.
have bought.
You're okay with the house you have, with the condo you have, which is a beautiful place. You're okay with the car you're getting. I mean, it's a great car. But it's not the 150. You're okay. And I think those are the things that sobriety light.
Okay with the wife you have.
Okay with the wife you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys haven't witnessed
Are you listening,
Because I
Amy?
want to keep the car.
You know what I called Andrew on the car ride home? On the car ride here, I go to him. You're like the new Tom Arnold.
I know. Who believe you'd say that to me?
Because your wife's gonna have.
My wife does not look like Roseanne.
No,
Barr.
Not at all.
No, but not that. Your wife
my
will
wife
have.
is funny.
Your wife will have a
Very
show
funny.
one day. It's a compliment to Amy
Yes.
saying that she'll have her own sitcom.
And the whole sitcom's based on the abuse of
said-
this man.
Abuse of me, right? Yeah, that's right.
And since it's based on her stand-up act, you'll be
Yeah.
famous.
I know. She's actually been pitching a show
Yeah.
that's basically that, called Taming Amy.
Apparently, in her
That sounds
stand-up
like a
act,
porn, by the way.
from what I've seen in her stand-up act, you do a lot of crying, Andrew. You do a lot of weeping.
She
There's
tries
a lot of
to-
weeping.
Trust me, it's not all her.
Every comic believes it's true.
Yeah, I know. I know. they're
It's
all-
like Andrew can't go
all
to
the
any
comics
comedy
are-
places.
You should not go to any comedy
I go
places.
and I watch my wife do comedy, and it's all about how her husband's really fat and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then they meet me afterwards, and they're like,
You're not so
"Oh,
fat."
"You're not that fat."
Well, that's great. I mean, she paints this horrific picture.
Yeah.
Right,
So
and
when
then
they
they meet
meet
me-
you, it's like seeing a movie.
I
you
have to
know?
work out more. When I was really working out, people were scared of me afterwards. They were like,
Lower expectations.
Yeah.
She has lowered. I mean, it's
Yeah.
great. Amy is like your perfect
But
perfect promoter.
what would be funny is when they come up to you after the show and said, "You're the husband. You should just start crying."
"Yeah, right."
Okay, so Howie, we are running out of time.
What else you want to know?
I want to know where you're going to be appearing pretty soon.
On the 23rd of this month, I produce my show, Laughs and Libations.
Of course, it had
Because it's at a
libations
bar.
in it.
Is that really?
I'm not having
Oh,
any
my
libations.
goodness.
It's called Laughs and Libations.
Laughs and Libations
Okay.
at the Blarney Cove. It's been there since the 60s. It's in West Hills at Roscoe and Topanga, and I've got some great comics lined up. The headliner is Melinda Hill. She's beloved by like Kristen Wiig, Marilyn Raschke, Chloe from 24.
Yeah.
This girl has just endless, what do you call it? When promo. People love her.
Okay, in 20 more
Credits.
seconds. Where else?
And then the next place is in Orange County at Agostino's Restaurant on the 20th.
And
We've
plus, where
got,
can people see your dinner?
Oh,
your murder
Mateo's
mystery?
on Olympic on Westwood Boulevard between Olympic and Pico.
Great food.
Mateo's Restaurant, great food, great classic Italian restaurant. But when you call Keith and Margot's for reservations, you have to say, we want to go when Howie's the detective.
Okay.
That's it.
And Jason,
And Dr. Ko, what do you have coming up?
He's in private practice in Beverly Hills.
By the way, I got to tell you, one of the nicest offices you will ever see.
He's just changing.
I went for a
offices.
visit, but to say hello, and his office is amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Probably one of the nicest psychiatrist office I've ever seen.
And also a part of Klean.
Yeah, and part of Klean.
Yeah, I'm there 2-3 days a week.
You appear there 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Right.
And Andrew will be in Oregon this week.
Yeah, I'm going to be up in Oregon. We're acquiring another facility up in Oregon.
And in a few more weeks.
Acquiring a facility sounds like a military operation.
Well, it's been running for 3 years, so we're buying it.
We're buying it, and we'll be on in about 6 other markets in about a month.
Yeah, we're expanding.
We are expanding.
Is this the part where you invite me back to be a guest another time?
It's debatable. And
because there's a lot of stuff coming up on the web for me. A lot of stuff.
All right,
coming
guys.
up on the
We'll
web.
see.
We got to go. It's
A lot of
radio.
animal stuff. A lot of stuff with Max and
We've got
Merlin.
Sony.
We'll be back next week.
And same time.
8
It's
between 8
been
and 10 on
magnificent.
Sunday.
Dr.
And,
Ko, thank you for all the information.
Howie,
Enjoyed it.
when
Thank
we
you,
say,
Howie, for coming in.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
And we
My
can't wait
pleasure.
for the car ride home.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
All right, guys. Klean
That's it.
Radio.
We're all stars now in the dope show. We're all stars now in the dope show.
Do you suspect a loved one is abusing drugs? Call Klean Treatment Center at 888-601-6040 for a free drug test and consultation. A treatment advisor is available to help you administer the test and answer any questions you may have regarding treatment and more. We are here to help. Call us today at 888-601-6040 or find us online at cleantreatmentcenter.com for your free drug test and the start of a promising future.